Paintball nerd.
Today's guest on Paintball Nerd started playing paintball in 1990. In 2012, he started competing with AZ Elite. And in 2017, he formed California Elite. In 2018, he became Dynasty's pit manager and assistant coach. He's been with him through 9 wins, 9 professional wins. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Victor Gamboa.
Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing today?
Man, happy to have you. You're the first assistant coach / pit manager I've had on the show.
Well, thank you. I think we have tried to make this happen for some time right now, right?
We have, almost a year. You're
Yeah.
a busy dude.
Yeah, so I appreciate it, and thank you for inviting me, man.
Of course, my pleasure. So, Victor, how did you become Dynasty's assistant coach and pit manager? How did that happen?
I think the relationship all started, first of all, when I first met Yosh and Ryan Greenspan at a clinic out in Arizona. And we kind of built a bond, and especially I built one with Yosh Rao. I think I was invited to assist in their pit by Yosh, and asked me to come in as a guest just to observe and have fun. Unfortunately, that's not my style. I went in there and I got my hands dirty, and I started helping, potting and filling up paint. And I just really loved the process. I'm very competitive, and I just think that the level that they were doing it at and what I wanted to do was at the same level. So we kind of meshed well together. How about that? So it was just basically an invite to come and observe and enjoy, but it just never happened that way. So
That's awesome, man. You just like the rest of the team, you take things very seriously.
yes, I actually do have a story that I actually shared with Ryan. So keep in mind that I think people that have worked in our pits and people that I vet, because I actually vet everybody that works in our pits.
Of course.
There was an episode where I think in my first year, I was assisting. Now, keep in mind, I'm there on my own tab, right? I flew myself. I am there. I'm paying my hotel. I'm helping. This is just on me. And I do recall that Ryan, I think, asked me for some lenses, and I had the equipment. I had some lenses, or we were filling pots. Well, I did it incorrectly, and
put the lens in wrong.
I either didn't have them. Something went wrong.
Okay, all right.
But I think this was the changing point for me in regards to the way I see the pit and the way I treat people that volunteer. Ryan took the liberty and the time to pull me to the side and said, "Listen, you might be volunteering. This is your own time. But if you're going to even volunteer, you need to do it at the highest level. And there is no room for error for that here in this pit." Man, all I got to tell you was from that moment on, you could have taken it 2 ways. Screw you. But I'm doing this. I'm helping, right? And I'm getting chewed out. Or you take it as, damn, this is no joke. And I took it the second way. I took it as a challenge. I took it as really recognizing what Ryan was trying to tell me, that even if we volunteer and what we do back there is so, it has such an effect on the game that you have to do it right. Yeah. And even if you're volunteering your time, that's not an excuse for you to mess it up, because it will trickle down to the W on the floor. That is the one thing that I swear to God, I think put my mentality in place in how and why I treat my staff the way I do. And we can get into that later. But that set the momentum for me. You got to bring your A game. I don't care if you're a volunteer, which I was. And keep in mind, this is Ryan calling me out in the middle of a match or after the match. And he said, "Look, dude, you got to do it right." And I think that was the switch changer for me right there. That changed the momentum for me.
I bet, dude. Jeez.
Yeah.
So In your
Oh,
mind,
keep in mind, I wanted to cry. I know Ryan will see this, but I I just want to make it a point that I felt like running away and crying at that moment because you're literally having one of these dudes like chew you out. So okay, go on.
yeah, Ryan's made me cry a couple times.
Yeah. Oh my god.
So Victor, what I mean, through your lens, right? What do you view as your responsibility as the pit manager, or pit boss, as I call it?
I'm uh I'm the roadie man. Me and Crandall. We're the guys that set up the stage, set up the equipment. Um,
Got a
we're the
gift.
ones we're the ones that set up everything to make things happen. So the band can go out and play. If something's not connected right, if an instrument ain't working, you're not going to get the best performance.
Mm.
So my job and Crandall's job is to make sure that everything behind the scene is ready, so these guys can just roll up to the field and do what they do. Now, keep in mind, there is accountability on both parts and both parties. They hold me accountable to make sure that perfection is achieved at its highest level. As I hold them accountable when we are at practice, when we're goofing around to make sure that we put in the time and that we play our best and that we communicate as teammates. So there's accountability on both parties.
Mm.
Um, so it's not just what I do because we hold them accountable as well. Keep in mind we got to paint, got pots, we got to keep them hydrated, and obviously, as you know, pit management. What I do, I provide the space. I provide the space for them to do what they do, to communicate, to share, to integrate with SK in the pit, right? To share and relay plays. You can't do that when you have a crowded pit. So
So when it comes to that, because I know that you do something very specific that not other pit managers will do, and that is you'll put caution tape around to keep people out. Why do you do that?
uh, first of all, not many teams were a big fan of it. I think for anybody listening to this, I think one of the responses they'll get is like, "Hey, if I was on your team, I would do this for you, right? You would have this." Um, I just found it that keep in mind we run 9, 10 guys. Then we run a pit crew, a staff crew of 6, 7. Then I have pod runners. I have paint runners. Then I have people that work behind the table. And by this point, everybody's trying to watch, but I had to do it because I had to provide the space to allow us to do our job. Keep
Yeah.
in mind, we play 4 matches to get to Sunday. If max, right? We get a bye, that's a different story. But it is within those 4 matches that we have to achieve success to get to Sunday. And then so we're there to work. But then you have all these people that are coming and they're scouting and they're watching. Well, they're right in your mix. At that very moment, we are playing. It is for us to get our job done. So I have to provide that ample space. Now, keep this in mind. I just didn't show up one day with caution tape. I made sure that I communicated with Jason. I let the right people know. I communicate with the team prior that's in our pits. I communicate with the team that's coming behind us in our pits, because we clean everything, we organize everything. I said, hey, do you want me to leave the tape up for you? Do you want me to remove it? Hey, 2 minutes into your end of your match, I'm going to put tape here because our guys are rolling in. So it is to provide us our workspace. It's like in your office. So
Yeah.
that's all I did, man. And I did take some verbal punches. I'm not gonna lie. I think people are starting to get the gist of what I'm trying to do. I think they are. So I think it's getting a little easier. But I think there's a few players out there that know who they are. Man, I just
Ooh.
no. You know what? I just know that there are a few players out there that know. And I think what pisses them off more that when they're standing behind the tape, I we offer waters to all the
I've
we
experienced that.
you've experienced that, right?
Yeah.
Because I think I've kicked you out once or twice,
Yeah.
right?
I'm like, Victor. You're like, hey man, It's finals. It's finals. I'm like, okay, all right, I get it.
Right, but we offer you a drink.
Of course, or
Right,
watermelon. Yeah.
right. We offer you a water.
So Victor, when someone doesn't maybe respect the border or they cross the caution tape, how do you handle that?
Uh, Good question. Because when I did started creating barriers, and keep in mind this is in the sole purpose so we can keep track of equipment, staff. Um, I just basically share with them my concerns in regards to what my purpose is. My purpose is there to provide a work environment for the team to do their job. For the fact that we're limited by amount of games that we have to win, be successful at, to qualify, to move on to Sunday, right? That's how it works. You don't do well, forget about it. So I just kind of reverse role with them what my job is and how, in return, if I was with them, how, I don't know, how grateful it would be, how nice it would be. But keep this in mind that usually some of these people, some of the players that I run this into or I've experienced this with, they're either playing after us, okay, because they're there getting ready. So in return, what I do, I leave them a clean pit, and I also leave the tape up because it allows them to go and do and live and have the same experiences that we had, you know. So it's kind of a give and take, but I think by now people are getting the gist of it, and I do get the jokes, you know. But yes, I do take my own caution tape, and and by the way, I do ask permission from Jason, and I do notify people at the NXL like, hey, this is what I'm gonna do, but they understand.
Yeah.
Everybody's working with it.
Well, it's smart. I mean, the perception is like Dynasty takes everything seriously, including the way that they organize their pit. And Victor, I know because I've seen you in action. It's not just about putting up caution tape or filling pods or having an organized crew. From what I've seen from you, you are able to anticipate your players' needs in a way that I've never seen someone do. Like you're standing there and you're like, watch, Blake's gonna scratch his nose right now. I'm like, why would you know that? And then he scratched his nose or something like that. So do you know many of the guys well enough to be able to anticipate their needs in the pit? And what are the cues that you get?
Oh man, this is the question I was waiting for. This is where I dump all the juicy stuff.
Yeah, let's get it.
Yes, I do know all their pet peeves. Keep in mind that those pet peeves didn't just come by observation, but they came by communication.
Hmm.
Uh, I have literally taken the liberty, and in return, vice versa, my teammates have taken the liberty to express to me what the needs are during a match. Uh, let's see, how can I do this without being, okay, let's be with the obvious. Look, man, we only drink mountain spring water, right? That's
Well,
all.
why? Let's talk about why, because a lot of people don't know why that's important.
First of all, the impurities in purified water are off the charts. And let me make note of this. We all know this because Ryan Greenspan has educated us in all this. Okay? I'm pretty sure you can find an article out there that Ryan has written about purified in mountain spring water. It also affects the way you sweat. Okay?
I thought
And
Rusty started the mountain spring water thing. Is that
no,
right?
that's a Ryan thing.
Okay.
I do recall. I think to the extreme. I do recall there was an event in Florida a couple of World Cups ago. I think it was during the COVID season, I believe, that I couldn't find any mountain spring water. And I ran to the divisionals, and I think I paid $1 a bottle from some divisional team. I must have paid like $20 for, I don't know, $15, 15 or 12 bottles of water. And because Ryan is specific of what he likes. And
Yeah.
it's okay, but so is the team. They're used to it. There are pet peeves like that. Ice, cooler, ice in the cooler. Marcelo has to. It's okay. He makes a very valid point. You just never know how the temperature is going to change. So we try not to risk it. You know what I mean? Keep in mind, there's procedures to that. You just don't go buy ice and put it in a cooler and you think it's going to be okay. You have to pre-plan for all this. No cooler gets cold, just like that. Ice, water, 1 hour drinks, gum, Pedialyte, Tylenol, Advils, pretty much any kind of inflammatory pill you might have, you want to have. Tape, black tape. I mean, yeah, there's everything in the mix. Lenses, black, clear, smoke. Anything that you feel that any given player is going to need, which I'm pretty familiar with all the players and what their tendencies are. Batteries, you know what I mean? I could tell you how many batteries we run through from a practice to a match. I would say I would put out maybe over 120 batteries.
Well, so these are like gear things, and I feel like every pit manager should know what gear to have. But what I'm talking about, Victor, is your ability to anticipate the player's needs based on like how well you know them. So, like, what are some cues that you can see, or give us an example of like when you see like, okay, Blake's coming back and he's going to need X, Y, and Z, and I know this because whatever you know.
Oh, I know this because trial and error. Trial and error. Every single player at some given point or another has taken the time to say, Victor, when I need this, I need a clean lens cloth. Victor, when I need, when I reach out for this, it's all communication.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many little things that the team likes. You know what I mean? It's all based on being around them. I mean, I could tell you that. I mean, but I know we speak of equipment and this and that, but I can tell you that I have players that like to change batteries every match. That's a personal pet peeve. I have players that, don't like to fountain drink off a bottle. You know what I mean? I have players that like to put their name on the bottle because I know who they are. You know what I mean? I also have players that don't like to be handed pods. They're players that you do not hand their pods to. They are responsible. And by the way, let me address this.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful thing for the fact because it's not that they're being zealous about anything. It is because they're assuming responsibility. Keep in mind, we have a pit crew of staff, right? You give them a pot, right? They shake it, right? They grab it, they just tuck it in. No, they're players that grab them, shake them, check them, put them, because at the end of the day, they're going to hold themselves accountable.
Yeah.
And you got to appreciate that. So it's all trial and error, Isaac. It's all trial and error. And I've learned it because they've taken the time to pull me to the side and be like, hey, Vic, hey, look, man, can you have this for me? Hey, can you know what I mean? And
dude, how long do you think it would take for another person to come in and know everything that you know? 5 years?
Yeah, I would say a few years. And you know what? I'm very grateful to say that I've never put much thought into that question because I have trained staff to help me and to take leads. But at the end of the day, right now I have no interest of leaving this family. I've known these guys well enough that I look forward to spending time with them. I will be leaving shortly here in the next day to go see them at practice, and next week, and we'll be in Sacramento's, and we're going to get to the grind. So it will take a few years for someone to get to know all these little pet peeves, because these are all coming from personal conversations where they walk into your room in the middle of the night and be like, hey, Vic, by the way, so look, when I came off the field, do you think you can have this? Do you think you can do that? And to be honest with you, I will take the time. I will take the time to make sure that I have at least one or two of what their needs are in the bag, because it is at that point when they go, hey, Vic, you got this? That's when you know you did your job, man.
Man, I think people are listening to this thinking, I wish we had that. I wish we had someone to manage our pit that way. What do you think other teams, and let's talk about divisional teams, because I think, in the pro circuit, a lot of guys kind of have it dialed in. But so maybe what what do you think other teams can learn from the way that Dynasty runs their pit?
Uh, I'll give you an example. I think because I do walk divisionals, I do go help divisional teams as much as I can. Um, I think it's communication and relationship building. You cannot run a pit if you're the one almighty. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be able to communicate and be courteous and respectful to all players and everyone in their position, from the parents that assist to the fathers that are pulling carts and potting, but and to be honest with you, even to the people that are pulling the trash, because we bag and trash our own bag. Well, we clean our own pits, right? And I ask for trash bags. I think it's respect and learning how to communicate to make them better with their teammates. Because keep in mind, divisionals I'm dumbfounded by the amount of space they're given. So you really, I mean, you want to talk about perfection? You really have to perfect that, because you're going to have only 2, 3 people behind that table. You're going to have 2 people wiping, and then you're going to have your one pod runner, if that. I mean, I mean, communication, respect, and clarity.
Mm.
You take that, you're going to be successful, and you also need someone that's going to set the rules. All right. With all due respect, if you're a spectator, get the hell out. Get
Yeah.
out of my space right now. I only have a 10 by 12 space to work with, right? I would be cautioning tape. I mean, I think I would run circles of tape around those little pits on purpose, just to make sure that the team had their required space.
Mm.
I think I do recall there was a Dallas event that I missed a couple of years ago, right? That I heard was pretty chaotic. Yeah, I think the yellow tape was missed. Do you remember
do you
that?
do you I don't specifically, but I go to so many events that sometimes it's a blur. But Victor, do you know how with teams and players we have like rivalries, right? Like sometimes like players have rivalries with other specific players, or whole teams have rivalries with a team. As a pit manager, do you have rivalries or competition with other pit managers?
Yeah, damn, Fran. It's Fran. You know what? I think Fran and I are always trying to outdo each other in perfecting the art.
It's
Uh,
good.
and I think it's a friendly rivalry, but to be honest with you, I mean, you got people like Sarge from Impact. You have people from Houston Heat who are just amazing people. The Tampa Bay guys are amazing. I mean, X Factor's pit. I mean, Jesus, Alex, what I wouldn't do for those guys. Um, in that sense of the word of rivalry, no. Because to be honest with you, if I did, there's no freaking way I could do my job as effective as I do it and as perfect as I try to achieve it without building the relationship with the pit people and the staff prior to me entering and after me leaving. You understand? Because it
Mm.
is just a team effort. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna thank these guys, because I think I dug into their ice chest a few times to grab a Gatorade, because we don't have Gatorade, okay? Or I don't know, some sweet drink, because we just have water. All right, because these
Spring
guys do
water.
not. Yeah, we don't drink Red Bulls. We don't, I mean, if I'm lucky, SK would get his 4, 5, 8 Red Bulls per event. Very rare will Blake or maybe Marcelo. Marcelo has his milk drink. He drinks his protein drink. Um, yeah, no, I couldn't operate if I had such rivalry. I think it's all fun rivalry. And by the way, let me mention the staff and the guys from Infamous and their pit. A lot of respect for them there, because Jesus, I will tell you, I learn from them every time, because they say we do a good job. Nah, these guys are the ones that make my job so much easier, and I think it is why. So check this out. Keep this in mind. The team will have our rivalries, right? Players. when we're going to
Sure.
play, we have our rivals, but I think that Dynasty as a team, man, we'll talk our smack during the match, but after that, it's all love, man. It's just all love. So I think it happens the same way in our pits, and we'll joke about it. But no,
Yeah.
I think it's my job to keep the peace.
Sure. It's impossible not to just love Dynasty, right? It's these guys have impacted our industry in such a way that they're large contributors to the culture that we have. So it's like you can hate them for 60 minutes on the field because you need to do that to get to a certain competitive level. But off the field, you have to appreciate and love them for what they've done for the sport that you love. I imagine it'd be the same way with you and other managers. It's like, well, Victor runs a tight ship. How do we hate that? How do you get mad at him for that? You got to
Especially
respect
when,
it, right?
especially when I'm handing out waters and I'm
Yeah.
putting you
Yeah.
behind.
Cutting up watermelon for everyone. I've seen you.
Yeah. I think I try to operate the relationships with everybody else just like the way Dynasty does. And,
Mhm.
and I have to tell you that you're pretty blessed. It is a blessing and a privilege to be within the core of this family. Um, Look, you're not always going to love each other, and you're not always going to agree on everything. It doesn't happen that way. I think what
Yeah.
makes it special at the end of the day, you speak about the way I run a staff, and which, by the way, I shout out to all the staff members, and I hope we can get into that for a sec. Um, but I think it's the way you treat people, and but at the end of the day, when you come together after the hoorahs and the wins and the practices and the battles and the smack talk, that we can come together and we have one goal in mind. And that goal is that when we step on that turf, it's our turf.
Mm.
And as much as the other team wants it, and you got to hand it to them, right? Every time, World Cup, right? These last events, this last year's, all these W's, right? That we're getting, and we win series titles, right? Um, well, after we win, it's over. We're coming on to a new season. It's anybody's turf, but we're
Mm.
going to come in with the mentality that that's my turf. And when you have 10 players, a team manager like Crandall, a coach like SK, and then you have these guys, and then our assistant coach Junior, right, which has been with the team for a few years now. When you come with that same mentality, man, you're on the same page. We
Mhm.
can screw around, we can laugh, we can hug, we can kiss babies, hang out lollipops. But when it's time to play, there are no excuses. And god damn it, man, you gotta love that. Because I am competitive. I am a business owner. I run a business. You know what I mean? I'm an adult. I want to compete at the highest level. But you can actually do that, have fun, without disrespecting your opponent.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, if we lose, hey man, it was not our day. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Victor, it certainly does. I'm curious, and I'm sure others want to know as well. What do you do professionally? Because certainly you implement some things in your professional life into how you run Dynasty. So what is it that you do for work outside of paintball?
Um, I guess there's only one word for it. I'm a custodian.
Well, I know that's not true.
I actually am a custodian. Um,
Okay.
uh,
Well,
I run I operate a janitorial company.
uh-huh.
Yeah, and like my daughter would say, you're a special janitor, Dad. Um, I've been very fortunate to have a great partner, and I've been doing this for 15 years. We've operated in multiple states, and you know what? We have a great workforce, and we specialize in hospitals, believe
Hmm.
it. So, we're very fortunate because hospitals never close.
Right.
So, you know what? I actually started the company in 2007, right in the mid recession. And I'm not going to lie to you, once I started, I never looked back. Our corporate offices are here in Arizona, and yeah, I've been very blessed. So you know what? I think that makes sense, right? I'm in the cleaning business, and I think I do clean the pit pretty damn well because I do
You
love
do.
the rake.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And,
Right?
the way that you manage your personnel, you manage hundreds of employees, I'm sure. So that
Yes.
makes sense.
Yeah. So it's just appropriate. And if you don't mind me saying this, I have taken the liberty of working with some amazing people with Dynasty in our staff. Um, the Logans, the Chris, the Brents, and the Hueys, the Dans, the Steves, the Chris. Jesus Christ, the legends, Patch. We have legendary people that come into our staff. Which, to be honest with you, they are just legends of the game in regards to our family.
Mm.
But I did learn, and I will tell you this. I do remember the first time I did work the pit with Dynasty Volunteer. Actually, my hand cramped up and locked up. That's how out of shape I was. But it is because our staff and the volunteers at Dynasty and the family that we have that has made this possible.
That's incredible, dude.
I just kind of, am I right? I pretty much just make sure everything flows, right? I
Yeah,
just stand
it's an
there, right?
important job.
Yeah. So, but I will tell you, keep this in mind, and let me say this to everybody. When you have an organized pit, a clean pit, and you have all these things in order, we're also taking care of our players' equipment, their bags. It's a sense of security. Keep in mind,
Mm.
right? So technically, overall, there's a lot that we do because it's not just us, but it's also the pro players that are there before us, after us. Can I tell you how many $1,000 cameras have been handed to me and I've turned into to NXL Media?
No
You know,
kidding.
that are left on the tables. How many bags have I found that we've turned into security? To the tents. We find stuff, guns. That we've turned in. So I think it all serves a purpose, right?
Yeah. Well, Marcelo lost his goggles that one time. That was a big deal.
Yeah, I remember that. And just so you know, when we lose something, I will always first be held accountable. So let
Yeah.
me make that clear. And you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I just sometimes, I will tell you a good pet peeve of the team. You don't touch the players' bags.
Hmm.
We don't do that. You know what? And you got to respect them from. These guys have been doing this so long that you Dynasty guys, and every pro player, they'll drag their bags with them, right? They'll put them down. You don't move them. You don't move them unless you ask permission because they
Mhm.
go, "Hey, my bag was here." You're right, it was there. You don't want to do that. That creates an anxiety. These guys have their own personal stuff in there. So yeah,
What's a memory that really sticks out for you, Victor? Maybe your favorite memory with the team.
um, let's see. I think it was 2021, 21. We won World Cup, I believe. Yeah, I know we won World Cup because we won them all. I think we won. Uh,
This is when Oliver came back and damaged in the finals at World
no,
Cup.
it was the one prior to that. Um, the team gave me all their game worn finals jerseys.
That was the last World Cup that Tyler Harmon was with the team.
I believe so.
That was a good one.
Uh,
Against X
I,
Factor.
I have I have fond memories of just these players showing me their affection and how grateful they are. Um, Shout out to my boy Marcelo, who, by the way, just not too long ago, I received his finals game worn jersey from World
Mm.
Cup. He gifted it to me. Um, um, I just have all these fond memories, and I'm an avid collector. I think people know that, but I think I'm very private with my collection.
Well, okay, wait, hold on. I want to know about the collection. Okay, but before we get into the collection, give me a memorable moment with the team off the field.
Um, Jesus. Well, let me just wrap up the memories that come.
Okay.
And we get together for dinner after practice, man. We go to these Thai restaurants, and it's a table of 18 of us, and just the stories that these dudes share amongst each other, right? And then you have Blake, with his outrageous responses, and then Marcelo with his quick comebacks, and then Ryan with his, nonchalant sarcasm, and then Yosh has to chime in to bring Zen to the conversation, and then Prady says the most outrageous, craziest things, and just starts laughing, and then we're at the same time trying to stop SK from starting to drink, and we're and. It, I mean, then you have Artie that goes into it with Blake, and then you have Archie who comes in there with this Zen kind of speech that just kind of wraps everything in this, like he just did I don't know, like he just did some kind of I don't know, inspirational conference, so you collaborate all that, right? And you're sitting there going, yeah, it doesn't get fucking any better than this,
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day, we're all making fun of ourselves. We're not making fun of other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you can do that and you keep all that other negativity out, you know, uh, I mean, Jesus, what can you not love, man? It's just great.
It's a great group, man, and it's like, I imagine it's hard to pick a specific memory because every time you're with them, it's just a great time.
Yeah, and guess what? I'm bringing you memories because we got Chris Shear, by the way, and that's how I refer to him. First last name together, Chris Shear, and got Prince Harry. You know what I mean? Who, by the way, I've been friends with for quite some time prior to Dynasty. Glad to see him on the team, and yeah, it's just memorable memories. Those are the things that I mean. Let's group them together because I don't think there's one. I mean, I think one time Yosh wanted me to take a photo with my underwear, like a thong, because said it was like a holiday thing, and I almost thought. So he said, Victor, I wasn't at practice. He says, Victor. So we took a photo. We kind of put our underwears and stretched them up like a thong, and with no shirts on, or something like that. He goes, but if you take a photo like that, we can add the photo in there. And I swear to God, man, I was like 80% until I said, no way, and, until finally
Yeah,
Yoshi gave way and started laughing. Yeah, but I almost got suckered into that.
that would've been great. That would ended up all over the internet, you know?
Yeah.
Tell me about this collection, Victor. What do you got? You got Marcelo's game-worn jersey. I'm sure you got a lot of stuff.
Uh, I think I have a collection of easily over 1,000 jerseys. Easily, I have maybe over 65 to 75 signature series Dynasty guns markers. I do have, I think, all of Yosh's signature series. I have all of Ryan's World Cup markers for every season, and they're all tagged. I have Blake's. I have Marcelo's first force. Um, I have markers. First of all, let's talk about the markers. I have markers that have a significant time and event for a period. What was won, who used it. It's not just a marker. So much that I actually don't have a marker that I can play with, or can I say put in the bag. I tend to use Blaze because that's a beautiful gun to shoot. I use Ryan's from 2 years ago, which I still play with. But I have significant markers. And by the way, back in the day when we were planning Eclipse, I think I have maybe over a dozen or more signature series planeted clip markers with their serial number still attached.
Where are these displayed? Where can we see these?
Um, Nowhere. You ever saw the little meme with the uh, Art of the Covenant where they put it away and tuck it in a box and they hide it in the wig warehouse? Uh, I actually have a warehouse in my corporate office, and it's specifically designed for paintball.
Mm.
Now let's talk about the jerseys. All my jerseys are 95, 98% game worn, and they're cataloged. So that means that the jersey has a significance to it: the year, the date, the photo, who wore it, and what happened. Um, I think there's something nostalgic, and I'll say this: I am an avid Dynasty collector, obviously, and I do have a lot of stuff from other great players. Sewers, Jesus Christ, I mean, Fields, I mean, just iconic players that made an impact in this game, right? In game one. And let me point out, by the way, I don't have a Laval jersey, and I've been trying to get one for years, but yeah, we haven't got there yet.
Nick, if you're
So
listening, he wants a jersey. Give it
yeah,
to him.
so I also have the team where these guys were playing overseas. I have the entire team with Archie, Kyle Spica, Ryan Greenspan, uh, uh, Rainey. So I have these beautiful collections of these jerseys put together. And by the way, my plan is to give it back to their heirs. Uh, we have an amazing Ryan Greenspan collection of all his game worn stuff, which we look forward to one day handing over back to Sloan, and to his kids. But keep
I was
this
going
in
to
mind,
say,
and to keep this in mind, this goes with the Marcelos, the Yoshis, the Frazies. I have Artie's first Dynasty jersey, Matty Kling's. I have Grayson's first Dynasty jersey. You know what I mean? Chris Shears, one of his first Dynasty jerseys. And yeah, Danny, who just joined the team. I spoke to him, and I look forward to getting that one of his first game worn. So the nostalgic thing about the whole thing is, just imagine to grab this in 20 years from now and be like, hey, my dad wore this. This is the photo with my dad in it, right? This is what he wore that day.
yeah,
And the older I become, the more you learn to appreciate that
certainly.
and go, damn, my dad wore this.
Mm.
Now, you put that on the wall, yeah. And guess what? It's not going to be lost. And by the way, I've also followed A Rod's career. I have some of A Rod's iconic equipment. I have golden barrels that I've Archie's golden barrel.
Didn't he have something to do with A-Rod joining Dynasty?
Well, I think I won't go into much of the detail, but I like to think that I had some involvement in it. I did a clinic out here in Arizona with Yosh Rao and A-Rod, and I happened to board them in the same room. And we did a clinic out here for AZ Elite, and it was shortly after that clinic that A-Rod joined Dynasty. I'd like to think that I was able to put two people together in the same industry that we ended up becoming friends. And who's not to like Yosh, right? I think he's an old soul. He's a wise man.
For sure.
And you know what? I think after that, I do recall that when he joined the team, we were in Dallas. I was with my divisional team. I actually got one of his first Dynasty jerseys. I know I still have a photo of that with the entire team and A-Rod and me holding the jersey. And we did it out in the street, by the way.
You gotta get photos of your collection. So the
And by the way,
community
I have the
appreciate it.
trophies, by the way.
Take photos of it. If there's not a showroom that we can go to, you gotta take photos so we can just nerd out on it. You got great stuff.
I appreciate that. I know you're right. It is, I guess, yeah.
Well, almost better if it just stays private, and then when the time comes, you get to the years. I get that too.
Keep this in mind. At the end of the day, I tell these guys, man, when you're ready to have it back, call me.
Mm-hmm.
Give it to your son. Give it to your daughter. Put it in your new home. But you know what? It's not lost, my friend. We know where it is. We know where everything is, and it's actually my stuff will never be sold. My stuff will never be forgotten. My daughters actually help me keep track of all this. My oldest daughter and my youngest, they actually help me catalog everything, which takes a lot of work.
I bet.
And shout out to Mikey, because I also have one of his last Dynasty jerseys, by the way. Congrats to him on the move. But yeah, I also have his stuff.
Boo, Mikey, you shouldn't have left. Boo.
And we wish him well. We're excited for Dan, by the way. I'm excited to talk to him and hang out more. Like I said, welcome to the best concierge club you're ever going to experience.
Yeah, 100%. He seems like he's a good fit. I got to meet him at the practice. He seems like a good dude. Good fit.
Well, I got to tell you something right now. When you're playing with some of the best players in the world,
sure,
that seem like they're never going to retire. If you're good, they're going to make you great. You know what I mean? So you don't have to be great to come in here. You just got to be good, and you have to have the right attitude off the field. Because this team, I think, to be honest with you, I think you give them 60% off the field, 40% on the field, they'll handle the other 10% to even it out. They'll make you better. But you got to have the right attitude off the field.
We've seen that happen time and time again. Good players go to Dynasty and become great.
Yeah.
It's proven,
Yeah, because you have to live up. And it goes for everything. Just like when I came in. You have to live up to the expectations.
Yeah.
I will tell you, it's not even just the players, but keep in mind Eric Crandall, what he does off the field is amazing. I think he's my glue. I think I talk to him all the time, and we know what we need to get done. Just keep this in mind. Events like a concert, we're going to show up. We're going to set up the equipment. We're going to set up the speakers and the instruments, and those guys are going to roll in like rock stars, and they're going to perform the best show ever. Because I think it's not just about winning; it's about entertaining the crowd, entertaining everybody, right? You gotta love it, man. When is there a dull moment? They can yell at each other, but then go, "Oh man, I love you."
Victor, what are you most thankful for that paintball's given you?
A family that I didn't know I had. I gotta tell you, I've been a little limited in addressing, maybe. I keep in mind I'm always at practice prior to the event, and I'm always at the events. I missed an event here and there due to taking care of some personal matters, but at the end of the day, you didn't recognize what you have until you don't have it. So during the off season and in between the breaks, and I keep in touch with these guys. They reach out to me. I reach out to them. We communicate amongst the team in the group chats, whatever. But it is the family that I didn't know I had, and I think I thought when Rusty left that I was going to leave, because if it wasn't for Rusty, who integrated me into the team, and keep this in mind. After a match, walking on that field and putting your knee down on that turf around that circle, that's earned. It's not given to you. I waited a year and a half, 2 years, a year and a half or so, almost 2, to walk out there with them. It took me that long to be able to put my hand in that circle and be considered part of that team. It's earned, because people come and go. So this team wants to know who's staying. They want to know who's in it for the long haul. So after Rusty left, I thought I was going to leave, but no, I couldn't. I found a family and Jesus Christ, me and SK, I mean, we came in and we won, you know. And let me make it clear, SK does pay me every year $20. Right?
I knew you were gonna say something like that. I knew it was gonna be some ridiculous thing like $1 or
So
a event or
it was
something.
good because it started with $1, and then it went to 5. But he paid me actually 20 before the season ended to lock me up for this season. So he's a smart man. So you know what? It's the family that I didn't know I had, Isaac. That you really learn to love and miss, and you know why? Yeah, why won't you get up? Why wouldn't I get up at 6 in the morning and make sure and that my guys are ready and what do they need? Why not? Because at the end of the day, unfortunately, I leave after events, to catch flights from the East Coast to the West Coast. But if I ever want to suit up, when I started playing, I started a team because somebody did not let me play. Think about this. I went to a field in Phoenix. It was 105, 110 degrees, and I waited at the net for an hour and a half, 2 hours. I had paint. No one knew I was a business owner or whatever, and nobody knew who I was. And because I couldn't play, I started my own team. Okay? Fast forward to now, I can grab my bag and I can go and suit up and play with the best team in the world. And I won't even have to ask twice.
Mm.
How beautiful is that?
It's beautiful, man.
So,
It's a
yeah,
beautiful thing.
it's the family.
Victor, man, thank you so much. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Is there anything that you'd like to part with for the paintball community?
Look, everybody always asks me, how do I do what I do? Treat your teammates, treat your opponents, treat everybody on the field, from the people that take out the trash to the referees, to everybody with respect. Mm-hmm. People ask how I come and go, because I make sure I take care of everybody that I'm going to have to work with, from the people in the parking lot, which, I take a McDonald's, to security, and to everybody from my teams, from the teams that are playing before me to the teams that are playing behind me. I do what I'm able to do because I treat everybody with respect, and if for some reason they don't change who you are. You do that and tell them what your mission and your goal is, they're going to respect you, and you're going to be more effective for your team. That's how you run a pit. Besides that, to everybody in Paintball, man, just thank you for your support. Thank you for all the fans. Thank you to all my staff all throughout the U.S. who helps me. From my prop runners to paint runners to everybody. Jesus, God bless it. And you know what? Keep supporting us, man. And you know what? If you hate us, great, but you'll love us from a distance, because you know what? At the end of the day, it's just a game, and we're just a big family. And thanks to you, by the way. I appreciate you.
My pleasure, dude. Thank you, Victor.
Yeah, I think this is my first interview, by the way.
There we go.
Yeah,
I
so
got it.
Nailed it. Okay.
Thanks, Victor.
All right. God bless, brother.